Hello and welcome to your practice. In this class, we're going to build slowly and steadily and make our way to some balance postures and even an arm balance at the end. So start to settle in. We're going to begin today in child's posture. Take a few slow and steady breaths, welcoming your body and your mind to the mat. From here, tuck your toes and pull back gently to downward facing dog. Feel the connection of your hands to your mat and your feet to the earth. And when you're ready, begin to bicycle your legs, noticing the sensation you feel in your feet, your calves, and your hamstrings. When you're feeling even and balanced, allow your knees to shift all the way down to the ground and begin to lift your heart, your chest, up into cow. From there, we'll pull right back into our downward facing dog. So this is kind of a variation on our traditional cat-cow, but instead of moving to cat, we pull back to downward facing dog each time. Shift forward into cow posture, and then pull back into downward facing dog. And then eventually we'll shift right into our traditional cat-cow. Move with your own breath, rounding your back, and then lifting the tailbone and chest, extending the spine. Eventually, come back to a neutral spine and begin to move into some serratus push-ups. We're retracting and protracting the scapula here. So keep your arms nice and straight, and then imagine that you're squeezing the juice out of an orange between your shoulder blades. And then pressing up as high as you can, stretching the skin across your upper back. We'll move next into a spinal balance, reaching forward with the right arm and the left leg, and then taking a little twist to tap your back ankle. Switch sides. Reaching back over your left shoulder and tapping your right foot. Reach back into your spinal balance and return to tabletop. Keep going with these, moving through this little tiger flow at your own breath's rhythm. Once you're feeling even and balanced, come back to tabletop and shift all the way back to child's posture. From here, we'll tuck our toes and lift all the way back to downward facing dog again. Stretch your right leg up into the air, bend your knee, and begin to slowly circle out through the hip. Try to keep your shoulders stable and your upper body really still as you isolate this ball and socket joint. Reverse the direction of your circles. And then when you've had enough, bring your leg right on back to the ground. We'll switch sides, lifting the left leg up, bending the knee, and circling around. Remember to keep a little bit of pressure in each finger pad and in the heel of your hands. Make sure you've circled in both directions. And when you've had enough, release your left foot back down to the earth. We're going to make our way forward to the front of the mat. So when you're ready, look forward and step one foot at a time to the top of your mat, taking a little lift. Then slowly release your torso down into a gentle forward fold. Spread your toes, connect your feet to the mat, and slowly rise up to extended mountain. Bring your hands to the center of your chest and sense your stability here in mountain posture. When you're ready, turn to face the long edge of your mat for some wide-legged flowing squats. There are many arm variations you can do here, so feel free to be creative. One simple option is just to bring your hands together up overhead and then bring them down to shoulder height each time that you lower into your imaginary stool. Another option is to add some lat pull downs, drawing your shoulder blades back and down and pulling the arms into a goalpost position each time that you lower. In case you're not feeling warm enough yet, we're going to start to transition right into some sun salutations to really build some heat. Come to the top of your mat, to mountain posture, and reach your arms slowly overhead. Shift down into your forward bend, and take a look forward, and guide your right foot back. Follow with the left foot, coming into your plank posture. Shift forward, and for this first one, you might bring your knees to the earth. Lower halfway down, and then come to the tops of your feet for upward facing dog, and pull right on back to downward facing dog. Take a breath. You can lift your right leg up, or simply step it forward to the front of the mat, taking a little pause in lunge, and then following through with your left leg. Take a half lift, and then a deep bow. Press into your feet, rise all the way up, and return to where you began, mountain posture. We'll move right into the other side, reaching up and folding forward. Take a bit of a lift and step your left foot back, followed by the right. Shift forward, bringing your knees to the ground, and hover halfway down to Chaturanga Dandasana. Lift up and pull back, downward facing dog. Take a breath. And then you might stretch your left leg all the way up towards the ceiling before stepping it through to lunge. Follow with your right foot Take a half lift and deeply fold. Soften your knees, press into your feet, and rise all the way up to extended mountain, bringing your palms together and returning them to the front of your chest. Again, we'll reach all the way up, preparing for another round. Forward fold, half lift, and step back with your right foot and follow with your left. Take a little shift forward and hover down. Lift up to upward facing dog and pull back to downward facing dog. Take a breath. Again, we'll lift the right leg up and guide it forward to lunge. Follow with the left, taking a half lift and a forward fold. Circle sweep the arms to rise up, maybe this time adding a back bend, and then return to mountain. We'll do one more round just like that, reaching up, hinging from the hips to make your way into forward fold, and looking forward, leading with your left leg to step back. Making your way to plank, shifting forward, Chaturanga Dandasana, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take a breath. Lift your left leg up and guide it through to the front of the mat. Follow with the right, half lift, full forward bend, and press all the way up, reaching back into your back bend and returning to mountain posture. Take a moment here to notice how you feel after finishing those sun salutations. We're going to get ready for our warrior sequence. So keep your right foot at the front of the mat and take a moderate step back with your left leg. Warrior one. Take a few breaths here, bending your front knee and straightening your back leg. Feeling the steadiness and stability of this posture. And then reaching your arms up and overhead and transitioning to a longer stance for warrior two. Continue to deepen your bend in the front knee and reach strong in each direction through your arms and hands. Begin to lengthen your front leg and reach forward for triangle posture. You might hold on to your shin, or if you have a block available, you can put your right hand on that. Feel free to stay right in that triangle posture, or deepen the stretch with a bound triangle. Coming in just like you do in a bound angle, but then seeing if you can straighten your front leg. Release the bind and return to warrior two. Bring your right hand to your hip and swim your left arm up and over, turning your back toes forward and stepping all the way back for a vinyasa. Shifting to your push-up, lifting to upward dog, and pulling back to downward facing dog. Take a breath. And then we'll make our way back to the top of the mat. Take a little lift and hinge forward, coming into your forward bend and then rising all the way up. Extended mountain and hands towards the chest. We'll get ready to do that same standing sequence on the other side. So this time, keep your left foot forward and step back to Warrior One with your right foot. Find strength and steadiness by spreading your toes and rooting into all corners of the feet. Continue to breathe in and out of your nose, and then reach your arms up and overhead. Transitioning to a longer stance, edging your back foot back for Warrior Two. Taking last breath here, and then straighten your front leg, reach forward, and make your way into Trikonasana, triangle. Imagine that you're pressing your shoulders against an imaginary wall behind you. And if you'd like to try that bound triangle, reach underneath your front leg, connect the hands, and then re-straighten. Continue to breathe in and out of your nose until you're ready to release. Bring your front hand to your front hip and circle sweep the back arm up and over, turning the back toes forward and stepping back for a vinyasa. When you're finished, arrive back in downward facing dog. Take a deep breath, and then lower your knees to the floor, making your way to tabletop position. We're going to get ready for a supported side plank. So kick your right foot off the mat, keeping your knee right where it is. And then stretch your left leg all the way back towards the back of your mat. You could lift your top leg up for a little more challenge. Or even grab your top ankle. This is going to get us ready for a posture that we'll try standing later on in this practice. So really feel the way that your body is able to balance and the shape that you're in here. Eventually release. It's kind of like a kneeling balanced half moon. And make your way back to tabletop. Make sure you feel steady. Your knees are stacked under your hips. And then kick that left foot off to the mat. Stretch your right leg all the way back and turn towards the long edge, coming to that kickstanded side plank. Then lift your top leg, mimicking a standing balanced half moon here, just doing it from the knee. And then if you feel like you want to grab your foot or your ankle, you'll basically be in a kneeling sugarcane pose, which we're going to try later on from standing. When you're ready, release and make your way back to a tabletop position. Tuck your toes and pull back to downward facing dog. From here, reach your left leg up into the air and step it forward to the front of the mat. You might want to grab a block and have it handy. Spiral all the way up into your long stance Warrior Two position. Take a few breaths here, feeling strong and steady in that front left foot. We're going to revisit triangle, so straighten your front leg. And if you've got a block, this is a good time to use it, placing it underneath your bottom hand and feeling now that helps you to lift up and stay very open in this posture. Now, move your block out in front of your front toes, about 12 to 18 inches, and start to shift into a balanced half moon. Just like we did from kneeling plank, you might try to grab the top of your top foot or your ankle here. This is sugarcane posture. Don't forget to breathe. When you're ready, release the ankle coming to your balanced half moon, and then bend your front knee deeply to make your way into Warrior Two. You can take the block right along with you or pick it up and move it later. We're going to pivot turn to the long edge of the mat and then turn to Warrior Two on the other side. Transition your block down so that it's ready for you when you need it. So now we're in a Warrior Two, facing the back of the mat with the right leg in front. Take a few breaths. And then straighten your front leg, shifting forward and moving into triangle. When you're ready to transition into balanced half moon, bend your front knee and move the block out ahead, shifting forward and finding balance. Put a lot of weight in the big toe side of your foot. And then start to bend your top leg and see if you can grab your ankle or the top of your foot for sugarcane posture. When you're ready, release and make your way back into your Warrior Two position. We're going to take a small shift right from that really open position to a squared hip Warrior One position. We're still facing the back of the mat. Eventually begin to lengthen your right leg and hinge downward for pyramid posture. You can put your hands on the floor on either side of your front foot, or use the block and place it right behind your right ankle, placing your hands on that. Eventually, move your block to the space inside of your front foot and lengthen your spine, shoulders parallel to the hips, right at the same height. Move right into your revolved triangle, reaching your right arm up, adding a nice deep twist. When you've had enough, release all the way back down and step back to your downward facing dog. We're going to do that same standing sequence on the other side. So take a moderate step forward and make your way up to Warrior One, this time with your left leg forward. Take a few breaths here. And when you feel ready, straighten your front leg. Hinge from your hips to find pyramid posture. Remember that placement of the block that can be really helpful, placing it right behind your heel. Continue to reach the crown of your head towards the space in front of your front foot. Eventually, lift your shoulders up so that they're at the same height as your hips. Place your block inside of the front foot and revolve into a twisting triangle, Parivrtta Trikonasana. When you're ready, return back and deeply bend your front knee. Start to pivot turn towards the long edge of your mat, and we'll move right into some flowing squats from here. Reaching both arms up as we straighten the legs, and circle sweeping the arms down as we bend the knees. Find a nice rhythm here, flowing through just a few more with your own breath's pace. Eventually, turn back to the original front of your mat and make your way to mountain posture. Find a gaze point and some stability here. We'll reach all the way up and lift the left leg high. We're going to move right into a standing balanced pigeon or a standing figure 4 posture. So cross your left ankle just above your right knee and start to sit down into an imaginary chair. You can keep this as light or go as deep as you'd like. Take a few breaths here. And when you're ready to release, see if you can reach your left knee and your arms all the way up and then return to mountain. Take a breath, get settled, and prepared for the opposite leg. When you're ready, reach your arms up and lift your right knee up high. Cross your ankle just above the left knee and begin to lower down. Even though you're holding the posture, make sure that you don't start to hold your breath. When you're ready, lift everything back up, your arms and your right knee, and then bring yourself back to steadiness in mountain. We're going to start to make our way down to the earth here. So let's add a little chest expansion and hinge down into a forward bend. Feeling a nice stretch around the upper body, the shoulders, the upper back, the chest. And when you've had enough, release your hands and just take a moment in your traditional forward fold. Then make your way back to downward facing dog. We're going to bring this down to a kneeling position and shift back into child's. Take a moment here and breathe. We'll prepare to shift forward and get set up for puppy pose. We'll start in tabletop for this posture, keeping the knees on the ground, and then finding your downward dog shape with your upper body by stretching the arms out long and hinging down from the hips. So it's really just like a kneeling downward dog, thus the name puppy posture. If this is feeling really good on your shoulders and you'd like to go a little deeper in, you can allow your heart, your chest, to rest on the floor. This is Anahatasana, or heart-melting posture. It's a really big stretch around the upper back, the thoracic spine, and major shoulder mobility here. So make sure your shoulders feel happy and comfortable in this position. Come out really slowly when you're ready to release. Bringing yourself back to a tabletop position, noticing the effects of that really deep stretch. And then coming all the way up to a high kneeling position. Take a big shoulder roll and make your way into camel, Ustrasana, lifting your heart and staying long through the spine. You can stay right here for the whole entire time, or reach back with your right hand and take a lift through the left arm. Take a few breaths there, and then ease your way up. When you're ready, switch sides, taking a big backstroke with your left arm, reaching your right arm back. We'll make our way all the way back up and then transition down to a seated position. Moving your legs out and around, taking a moment to find seated staff. And then bringing your ankles in towards your body and bringing the soles of your feet together for butterfly. Lengthen your spine and then begin to hinge forward, tipping your pelvis forward and folding the torso down. Allow every exhalation to move you just a tiny bit deeper into the stretch. When you've had enough, come back to a seated position and stretch both legs back into staff posture. We're going to reach down and grab the right big toe with the right peace fingers and start to draw your knee back and then forward again into a shooting bow movement. Continue to shift back and forth. And then eventually, we'll come right from here into a figure 4, crossing the right ankle over the left thigh. You can hold on to your left shin and get a really nice stretch right there. Or if you'd like to deepen, you can underhook your right calf with both hands and hold your leg pretty close to the chest. Or you can even hold your lower leg in both arms and take cradle the baby. See which one of those options feels right for you, and just remember to breathe. We're going to prepare now for big arm balance. So draw your right leg back and move your inner thigh up high on your right arm. Press into your hands and then stretch the legs out to the side into Astravakasana, 8 angle. Squeeze your inner thighs together really tightly, and when you're ready, release back through comfortable bird pose and release down to seated staff. It's okay if you didn't feel like comfortable bird pose was too comfortable. I'll turn to face you as we get ready for the opposite side. Start with that shooting bow sequence, bringing your peace fingers around your big toe and just shifting forward and back as you warm up the hip and the upper leg. After you've done a few of these, cross your left ankle over the right thigh and make your way into that seated figure 4. You can hold around your shin, or you might choose to underhook and hold your left leg with both hands, straightening your right leg all the way down onto the earth. Or you might cradle your shin and sit up tall and cradle the baby. When you're feeling ready to transition into that arm balancing sequence on this side, bring your left inner thigh high up onto your left upper arm and press in, lifting your right leg off the ground and then lowering your chest really, really far, stretching the legs out and crossing your ankles. Return back, hovering if you can, and then releasing to the ground. We're going to come into a kneeling position as we head towards the home stretch of our practice. Sit down on your heels or let your feet come out to either side of your hips. That might be enough of a stretch, and you can even sit on your block if it feels like too much. But if you'd like a deeper thigh stretch, you can try tipping back a little onto your hands or lowering down onto your forearms. Or for some, it might even be possible to lay all the way down onto your back. When you're ready to come out, make sure you move very slowly. Coming up to your forearms. And then moving up to your hands. And then all the way up. And taking your legs out and around to a seated position. Make sure you have a block handy. And then gently lower down onto your back. This is our first time on our backs in this practice, so take knees to chest and take a few breaths here. before we get ready for final relaxation, we are going to visit a restorative posture, supported bridge. So lift up into your bridge posture and then slide that block underneath your sacrum, right under your tailbone, lower than your lower back. Remember that your block has 3 heights, so feel free to adjust the height and see what feels most comfortable for you. Take some time here, allowing your thighs to gently stretch and your shoulders to melt back and down towards your mat. If you've had your block on a high setting, you might take a moment in a lower setting, taking a few breaths there. And then removing the block completely and lowering down onto your back. From here, we'll stretch the legs out and come into a comfortable position for final relaxation. Take a deep breath and feel your whole body soften, releasing all effort. Feel free to pause this video and take 5 or 10 minutes or even longer to rest and restore after your practice. When you do feel ready to return, draw one knee into your chest and then the other. Take a few rocks from side to side. And then lower your body over to one side. Bring your top hand to the earth and support yourself as you rise all the way up to a comfortable seated position. Taking a moment here to feel the effects of your practice, to sit with a long spine, and to notice the steady rate of your breathing. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste.